Hello. We're here today to talk about 3 simple steps business owners must take to prepare for new cyber insurance requirements. And I'm going to give you one tip you probably never even thought of. So, I am Lisa Niekamp Irwin, President and CEO of Tomorrow's Technology Today. We are celebrating our 20th year in business. Our core focus is to build a great company with great people that do great work. We've developed a cybersecurity service for businesses, and what we do differently is our delivery comes with a 100% satisfaction guarantee. The right cybersecurity solution means having layers of protection in place without breaking the bank account. I am also the author of The Sitting Duck: Why Your Business is a Cyber Criminal's Ideal Target. On the day of release, Sitting Duck reached the bestseller status on Amazon, reaching as high as #1 in 10 different categories. I love this business and the opportunities and friends it has brought to my life. I wouldn't trade this for the world, and I hope it shows in the way we do business. We love what we do. Of course, some days come with great challenges, and other days bring us great rewards. But that's technology. I know there's some of you here today that I've never met. So just wanted to kind of introduce myself and also tell you a little bit about Toledo InfraGard. That is an organization that has an alliance with the private sector and the FBI. I was president for 4 years and standing in as acting president right now, and we are helping to bridge that gap between the private sector and the FBI. We are on a mission to help protect and educate 1 million people. So, what's going on? Why would a technology company be talking about insurance? Did you know that cyber insurance companies are losing money right now? And it's a significant loss, which leads us to business interruption. So let's dig into each one of these. When a company is hit with ransomware, it costs them money. It's measured by the amount of money they pay. When it comes down to the criminals, they want you to pay. The ransom demands are costing more, especially with the ability to get insurance to pay the bill. In 2020, the average ransomware payment was $300,000. The first 6 months of 2022, we're at over $925,000. That's almost $1 million. That's 71% increase. But ransomware is not the only thing that's happening. Hackers are now breaking into email boxes, and once they're there, they're monitoring for a little while, just looking for opportunities for wiring funds or paying invoices. Once they find someone like this, they're starting to dig into that mailbox and find an opportunity where they can send an email or another contact or get them to send funds to the wrong account. This is what we call business email compromise. This is also up. It's not just up in getting people to wire money to the wrong place. In 2020, 65% of the organizations suffered a business email compromise. In 2021, 3 out of 4, 77%. But it's not just going up in the number of businesses, it's also going up in the amount of money being fraudulently transferred. And that means the black market is being funded. That means human trafficking. That means everything that all of the things outside the law. The FBI said that there is a 65% increase in the global exposure in the losses from mid 2019 to 2021. So we're seeing an increase in the amount of money that people are wiring to the wrong person. What this means is that both the likelihood and the impact are both going up, which means there's a tremendous risk. And why is that a bad thing? Because insurance companies do not like risk. There's also an increase in response cost. The cost associated with responding to cyber incidents are going up, as in you can reach out and contact your insurance agent about an incident. The amount of money that they are going to have to spend on better security, IT, forensics, and legal experts are all going up because that labor cost is going up. And the replacing of the actual equipment is going up too. There has been a 6% increase in tech budgets, and 25% of IT spend has increased when there has been a security incident. This increase is because of the rise in the cost of tools and labor that are used to respond to events like this. Next, we have inadequate cyber hygiene because users are not doing the right thing, like changing their passwords. And then we have remote workers that are not behind those corporate firewalls. So how many people are working from home that bought their firewall at Walmart? And they probably bought it several years ago. Now, as those remote workers come back into the office, we're also seeing these machines then infect the corporate network. We are seeing the complete lack of incident response plans. So what's an incident response plan? It's a plan that goes through and identifies the steps that a business is going to take when a cyber incident happens. Finally, we have insurance interruption expenses. There's a cost associated with the interruption of business when there has been a ransomware attack or a business email compromise. So, what does that mean? If you're an insurance company, what would you do? You would probably deny renewals where there's a risk. You would probably not renew someone if they had a breach. And then you're going to tighten up those standards for those new applications. And you're going to have to raise the rates. So, the questions we're going to talk about today. What can you do? So we're going to go through 3 things that you need to do. So grab something to write with and let's get started. 3 simple steps that you can go through to make sure you are protected. So let's start with step number 1. Make sure you are covered. So what do I mean by that? Make sure you have a cybersecurity policy. Why? Like I mentioned before, that ransomware risk, that response cost, that replacement cost, the cybersecurity hygiene, and the incident response plans. So for these exact reasons, you should have a cybersecurity policy in place and ready to use. So a couple things to mention. Cyber insurance is not normally part of your normal insurance policy. This is not a standard component, and this is not covered by your normal business insurance. You need to have a separate cybersecurity policy. Make sure you talk to your agent about this and understand it. You're probably thinking, I don't need this. And many times this comes up because I'm too small. My business doesn't need to have something like this in place. And the problem is that small businesses, when they get hit by cyber incidents, they don't make the news. That's not news headline material. Well, it can happen. Our security team helped a small accounting firm back in March that was having problems with an e-filing for one of their clients. Turns out one of the users in the accounting firm, who also happened to be a partner, was phished. And when they were able to make their way around, they were able to use his access on a cloud-based attack software. Once they did that, they filed 180 fraudulent tax returns. Because of this, the IRS no longer allowed them to do any e-filings until they had a certified clean bill of health. Can you imagine being a tax and accounting firm in the heat of the time and not being able to do e-filings for your clients? And I'm not telling you this story because accounting firms are at more risk. It's because attackers don't care how big you are. They don't care what kind of business you are. Everyone can get hacked. And the worst part, they're all having to pay that ransom. Everyone needs cyber security insurance. So they have a way to pay for an event if it happens. So the first step, I want you to make sure you know, do you have a policy? Okay, so now on to step number 2. Prepare to get or renew your policy. Insurance company hates paying ransoms. They hate being responsible for footing that bill when an attack happens. So when they're doing this, they're going through and assessing networks and denying renewals. So once you have been denied a renewal, it's really hard to get insurance. Or if you're trying to get cyber insurance for the first time and have been denied, it's really hard to get insurance after that. Think about this. When you go through to apply for insurance, and one of those questions is, have you ever been denied insurance? You have to answer yes. And that puts up a red flag for them. So how do they go through and assess your network? How do they go through it and analyze it? One way they do it is what they call a self-assessment questionnaire. I have a picture of one of those here on the screen. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through and give you a couple of those questions that comes up at these that I want you to make sure you're prepared to answer and you have thought through. So here's 5 simple questions analysis that you can do sitting right here today, and it's going to help you understand if you have the right things in place when it comes to protecting yourself for an insurance policy. Do you have, as the business owner, these questions are hard to answer? Multi-factor authentication, backups, up-to-date antivirus, breach response plan, and up-to-date active firewall. So let's talk about how do you check these yourself. I did say I was going to make it easy for you to do this right here, right now, from the seat of this webinar. So instead of me asking you, do you have, I'm going to ask, are you prompted? If you log into an email, into your email from another device, like your spouse's laptop or your home computer, are you being prompted for a second authentication from your phone? If so, then yes, you have multi-factor authentication set up. If not, you don't. So another way of asking, do you have backups and are they working, is when was the last time your tech team told you how long it took from a backup to recover all those servers? Maybe it was during your annual bare metal recovery tests. These are the types of questions that you should be able to answer. You need to know how long it's going to actually take if there is an event that happens. Do you have active antivirus? And is it installed on all the computers? So the easiest way to check this is to look at the bottom right-hand corner of your screen next to that clock, and you see icons down there. Hover over each of those icons and look to see, is any of those an antivirus? The thing here is that we have found that 20% of the computers in a network are actually missing antivirus. Do you have a written, documented breach response plan? I know you're thinking, that's really not my responsibility. I'm not going to be doing that, you know, that response, how to recover from that, from the attack, right? And as the owner, you are responsible. You are responsible for your team. You are responsible for the communication when that breach happens. This means talking to your clients, to the media. What should be said when someone answers the phone? We just did this exercise with 2 of our clients. It was about an hour meeting plus the time to update the documentation based on that meeting. And finally, do you have an active firewall? The easiest way to figure this out is to see if you're paying for a subscription. You pay for a subscription just like you pay for antivirus. So ask your CFO, ask your accounts payable, are we paying for a firewall subscription every year? If you are, then you should be covered. These are the 5 questions that give you a baseline of whether or not you have the right tools in place. The thing is, as the business owner, you are ultimately responsible for the answers to that questionnaire. You may hand it off to your IT person, but they may want to answer yes to everything. Maybe your insurance agent will help and help you guess. But you are responsible, because when that claim gets denied, it's going to be an impact on that business. And there is nothing worse than paying for an insurance policy and not being able to use it. The last step we're going to discuss today is avoid becoming that victim. You're thinking, I don't understand. What do you mean? Avoid becoming a victim? Trust me, when it comes down to it, you can avoid becoming a victim of a hacking event. I know some of you are thinking, I don't have to invest in cybersecurity because I have insurance. So if you've been through step 1 and step 2, you don't need to invest in cybersecurity, right? You have health insurance, right? So let's think about this. Would you do something to jeopardize your health? Would you go into a room that has a big label like this where there's radioactive material, but you have health insurance, right? No way. That would be very risky, and that could make you very sick for a very long time. Well, a data breach and a ransomware attack will make your business sick for a very long time. What we are seeing that people have for insurance, they don't worry so much about cybersecurity. If we look back, remember that small accounting firm? It took them over 2 years to recover. They had to go out, get new clients, and recover from that loss of clients and rebuild their reputation in the community. It set them back over 2 years. You may be thinking, I don't have any data that hackers would want. I'm not an accountant, I'm not a lawyer. I don't have data that hackers really want to get their hands on. Even if you don't have data that hackers don't want, zero data that hackers want. Think about all the people that you interact with: companies, clients, friends, family. Hackers look for hosts so they can affect other companies. Imagine how you would feel if a hacker used your email to send ransomware to your friends, to your business contacts. Imagine how you would feel if they called you and expressed their devastation because this happened to them. You can avoid being a victim because 93% of the cyber incidences are preventable. But how? How do you avoid being a victim? One sure way to do this is have somebody inspect your network. What they are inspecting is for vulnerabilities, risk, and other miscommunications. And that's how hackers get in. So one last thing, something you've probably never thought of. Very simply, a third-party security assessment. Our security team has built the most comprehensive cyber insurance analysis available. With over 13 different cybersecurity assessments, this provides you with the information of whether you have the right tools in place to get cyber insurance. You're probably thinking to yourself, I have an IT person, they're responsible for this. But remember, ultimately, when it comes down to it, cybersecurity is everyone's responsibility. You could be thinking, I'm already protected. I have somebody that does this. Are you absolutely sure you are completely protected from ransomware and hackers? I'd love you to be able to answer yes, I am secure. I have a simple step for you. Another question I do get asked is, do I have to tell my current IT provider? Honestly, that's really up to you. If you like to know how they are actually doing, you can do this evaluation without engaging them. If you'd like to give them a chance to prepare themselves, then by all means, let's get them engaged. By the way, do you think hackers give your IT department a chance to prepare before they get into your network? You can assure them that you will not need their passwords. And if you want, you can let them know that you won't be installing any software or changing any of their settings. We will send you a simple tool that you can run to analyze your network. Then we will sit down with you and review those results in plain English. Finally, we'll give you some steps that you can take to protect yourself and your data. So what's the catch? There's just one little catch here. We can't do this for everyone. This is the same tool that we are audited with every quarter. So we're just starting into these cyber insurance audits. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to call this a beta test, as I'm going to do this only for 2 for free. We are envisioning this to become a certification type program with a quarterly service audit and an annual assessment. And I'm looking for feedback for that assessment. Again, I'm on that mission to help educate and protect 1 million people. So here's what you can do. You can get that free third-party cyber insurance readiness assessment. There's the QR code. You can scan that or go to our website, TomTech Today, cyber-insurance-requirements. Hope to hear from you soon. Thanks and have a great day.